Guys, we're gonna cook turkey. Woo! This is one of the biggest meals of the year, guys. Whether it's Thanksgiving or Christmas time, you need a fail-safe recipe that guarantees perfect results and tastes every single time. Really good, honest gorgeousness. So one of the first things you need to do to guarantee the most amazing succulent roasted turkey is actually get the turkey out of the fridge at least 2.5 hours before you want to cook it. I always recommend buying a high welfare free range turkey, which is the one that I'm using here. It's not just more ethical, the flavour is incredible. Before we start prepping the bird for roasting, we've got to think ahead a little bit, and we want a trivet that's going to make the best gravy ever. We've got 3 or 4 little medium-sized onions. These are going to roast under the bird. Go gorgeously sweet. Some celery, some carrots. You want them quite crude and quite big. Put a little rosemary in there, put a few bay leaves in there. And also this is the opportunity to put in your giblets. The turkey neck is like oxtail. The depth of flavour and the collagen and the gorgeousness and oh, it's unbelievable, right? So we're just going to shake that in. That's our trivet, done. If you want to know how to make the most amazing gravy, click the link. I'm going to give you a recipe for basic preparation of a gorgeous bird, okay? You want about half a pack of butter. Most of this will drain off along with the actual natural turkey fat. So just rub it on. There's no sort of polite way to prepare your turkey. So let me just wash my hands. Then we're gonna season generously with lovely sea salt. Some nicely ground black pepper. We've got some nutmeg. It just feels like that little edge of Christmas. Half a nutmeg is all you need. Okay, so now let's talk about stuffing. A lot of people ram a load of stuffing in this cavity here. And what that does, it's not a pretty sight, I admit, but what it does is it stops the natural airflow going into the bird and it kind of messes with your cooking times, okay? We want to stuff it from the neck, actually, with about 600 grams to a kilo, depending on the size of your turkey. And then just tuck the skin back under, like that. And look, you would have never have known I'd been there, okay? If you want to see how to make the stuffing for this, click the link. Place your turkey on the trivet. I did say you don't want to fill it up, but just a little clementine, just a little Christmas clementine, put 1 or 2 up there, and of course you can grab some rosemary or thyme and get that up there as well. Just give it a little rub, get a little bit of butter on there, shove it in there. It hasn't stopped the air going in, but it will create the opportunity for fragrance and potential and gorgeousness. A thing that I would recommend is a thermometer. Now we're going to push this thermometer into the fattest part of the turkey and just leave it there. It will give you an honest reading about what's happening on the inside of the bird. We want you to be on top of that. Get a little foil. This is going to really help retain juiciness and also protect the skin. And I just expose the thermometer like this. Super, super helpful. My medium-sized turkey here is 7 kilos on the head, calculating the cooking times at 35 minutes per kilo. You work out your times, guys, and get that bird in the oven at 180 degrees Celsius, which is 350 Fahrenheit. Find out more in the description box below. Don't be afraid to go in halfway through the cooking, remove the foil, and get a little spoon of fat and just baste the turkey with all those gorgeous cooking juices. Pop the foil back on, and about half an hour before the end of its cooking time, remove the foil for the skin to crispen up. So here you go, guys, a beautiful, beautiful turkey. This bird has been out for about half an hour. It's cool enough to pick up, right? We're gonna just pour any juices out, put it onto a warm platter, and you can just put a bit of tin foil over this and a tea towel. 2 hours resting is gonna be gorgeous. It's not optional, it's not a luxury, it's essential. So there you go, guys, that is my perfect roast turkey. No tears, guys, let's get this right. Hello, lovely people. Okay, stuffing. Mastering the perfect stuffing. I want to give you principles that you can use to give you consistency, gorgeousness, deliciousness. Breadcrumbs, onions, sage, there's dried fruit, there's nuts. I want you to put your own stamp on your stuffing. First up, the 3 basics that you must have. Onions, bread, herb, okay? This will give you a basic stuffing. And the way you take it to the next level is by using beautiful minced pork shoulder. Really, really nice, good, delicious fat. And then over here, you've got the embellishment. Things like lovely chestnuts, whether they're from the vacuum pack or whether they're roasted over a fire, gorgeous and peeled. We've got like All those lovely Christmassy kind of nuts that you'd get, just toasted up and cracked. They're beautiful in the stuffing, really good. Then dried fruit, just a tiny little surprise of sweetness and sourness. Dried cranberries, apricot, very good. Then a little bit of dried chili, just to give a background kind of hum. Now, I don't want it to be hot. Nutmeg, which is a classic, and a little cinnamon. Let's go in with a little olive oil and a little knob of butter. What we want to do is start to fry off the fragrant things, like the sage. This is going to be enough for this whole dish, plus a nice kind of 500-gram ball that will go up the back of the turkey or in the chicken or in your sort of roast pork. Slice it through the leaves, get rid of these stalks. Go in with about 2 tablespoons of olive oil, butter, a little chili, a pinch of cinnamon, and then nutmeg. Now the reason for this is you're waking up all those spices. Half a nutmeg goes in. We can turn the heat up. So the first thing that's gonna happen, spicy, oily, buttery, fat in there, the sage goes in, and we've got that on a medium heat, just finely chopped, 2 or 3 onions. The onions will go lovely and sweet. So onions into the sage, look, beautiful. Okay, you don't have to make them super sweet or caramelized, just soften them up. So give them a shake every now and again. You know, meat's always been expensive, so the point of the stuffing was to add flavour, make it exciting, have different textures, but also stretch a little meat a long way. We'll lightly season with salt, pepper. So guys, turn this off now, let that cool down. So you can put this in a kind of dish now. Give it 5-10 minutes, let's get it nice and cool. If you look at the 1.5 kilos of pork shoulder, let's put this into a bowl. That's going to be enough to put 1/2 kilo up the back of your turkey or in your chicken, or, you know, rubbed across the pork loin before you roll it up. And then you're going to have 1 kilo to make nice and crispy. You want 2 or 3 big handfuls of bread to kind of stretch the meat a lot further. We've got chestnuts here. So these are vacuum packed chestnuts, guys. You can get these in the supermarkets, but you could use other nuts as well. You can just kind of bust some up in your hand. Leave a couple whole like that. Things like apricots are just gorgeous. And then things like the dried cranberries, totally cool. Not much, just a few. And with the apricots, we'll just run our knife through it, then we'll put it in. So when your onions are fully cooled down, add them to your bowl and mix it up. Scrunch it in your hands. Of course you can use a spoon if you want to, but to be honest, it's much better to get stuck in. If that's just minced pork shoulder, then you will need to season. Good couple of pinches of salt and pepper. When you work it with your hand like this, just makes it bind nicely. So what I like to do now is take about 500 grams of this stuffing, it's about 1/3 of it, and I'll put this into a dish like that. And this I will stuff in the turkey. I'll only stuff it in the neck, that little flap of skin, you can put it underneath. Don't put it in the carcass, because that's going to slow down the cooking. But that will be kind of blonde and juicy. It will flavour the meat will flavour it, and it will flavour the tray that will flavour your gravy. You see where we're going? And then with this nice big old chunk here, add this to the tray here. And then what I love to do is just push it right into the edges. When it cooks, it does shrink a little bit, so you can kind of push the stuffing up the edge. Just gonna wash my hands. Just take a few little leaves on the top. You could mix it up, have a blend, bits of chestnut and a few cranberries, you know, because you're kind of storytelling on the top. And I just think it's really exciting. And then a tiny bit of olive oil, just so that sage goes from being dry and horrible and it'll go crispy and gorgeous. Just pat your little sage leaves, look at the color. You can imagine the flavour, can't you? It's going to be amazing. I have a stuffing that's cooked already. Gnarly, crispy, gorgeous. Have a little try. Oh, perfect roast potato. It's not just a potato, this is the perfect roast potato. And if you think I'm going mad, it's because I'm mad for roast potatoes. Crispy outside and fluffy inside. We're going to do it 3 ways. Goose fat potatoes, butter, clementine, rosemary, garlic, and extra virgin olive oil. The Maris Piper is an incredible potato. Fluffy and starchy. The peeling of the potatoes, you don't need to see that. I've got them parboiling in here in salted boiling water. They're kind of that size. Cook them for about 10 minutes. The best roast potatoes I've ever made have come from a time when I almost felt I'd overcooked them and created mashed potato, okay? So you need to tread that line very, very, very carefully. So I can see they're just kind of thinking about breaking up. Pour it into the colander. This steaming part here now is also incredibly, incredibly important.
It's starting to get starchy, see it go kind of fluffy and white, and little kind of flecks and flakes of broken bits of potato.
These are the things that are going to give you crispy bits, and we love crispy bits, and a crispy outside, okay? Really, really important. In tray number 1, cold pressed extra virgin olive oil. 3 tablespoons, lower in saturated fats, so we love that. We're going to move on. Butter and olive oil. Half as much, and then a nice knob of butter. Butter's going to give you incredible flavour and a sort of lovely sweetness, but also a strong contender for gorgeousness is goose fat. You can get it in all the supermarkets, 3 or 4 tablespoons in there. You're going to get a richer flavour. It could be pork fat, it could be beef tallow. I love all of them, but I generally sway for the butter and the olive oil. But at Christmas, I kind of go for the goose fat because it's so good. A little secret ingredient that I do, a swig, tablespoon of red wine vinegar. It will disappear, and what's left is a really subtle kind of tang. It just helps make the perfect roast potato. Then herbs. So let's go to the olive oil here. Get in some lovely rosemary. Put it under a hot tap. If you put it under a hot tap, it just wakes up the natural oils in the rosemary. Okay, so rosemary goes in, and of course, best friends with garlic. Leave the skin on. The skin will protect the garlic, and it will release the garlicness very gently. The whole bulb of garlic. Trust me, guys. Then we're going to go to the olive oil and butter. Sage is a classic, beautiful, beautiful fragrant herb. That goes in. And then we've got clementine. You could use any citrus fruit, but at Christmas, clementine's particularly good. Just the zest. Lovely. That will make a difference. It's going to be really, really good. Last but not least, goose fat. Just go brave on bay leaves. Dried ones are okay, fresh, amazing. 4, 5, 6, and then go in with some thyme. We're going to hit these up with some salt and pepper, olive oil, rosemary, garlic, clementine, butter, olive oil and sage, and bay, thyme and goose fat. Delicious. Now back over here. While these little bad boys are steaming hot, right, we need to chuff them up. Scratching and scraping the edge. Chuffing, right? I've made it up, okay? Look what I'm doing, look what I'm doing. Woohoo! You see how I've beaten that up, right? So that's good. So we're gonna go in. While they're hot, just mix up all of these. Absolutely gorgeous. So I'm going to cook these in an oven at about 180, 190, which is about 350 Fahrenheit. Over the period of about 50 minutes, maybe an hour, they're going to get gorgeous and golden and crispy. But after about 40 minutes, I want to show you the last little tip to make these incredible. Take the tray out of the oven after 40 minutes, place the potato masher on top, and then just let it pop. And let the lovely starchy inside just puff out, and then create a flatter surface area on the bottom and the top. Just do that around the whole tray, and then pop it back in for another 10 minutes. You can hear the sizzle. Have a little shake up. You can see and you can hear there is crispy perfection in the house. Goose fat potatoes, the butter potatoes with the clementine. The smell in this room is off the chart. And last but not least, the rosemary, garlic, and extra virgin olive oil. Crispy, fluffy, perfect, tangy, little, gorgeous roast potatoes. Hi guys, okay, I'm gonna show you how to make a really simple but really delicious braised red cabbage. It's an amazing dish from my new cookbook, Jamie's Christmas, with fennel seeds, clementine, balsamic vinegar, smoky bacon, and rosemary. People are gonna go crazy for it on Christmas Day, or in actual fact, any time of the year. First up, I've got a nice whole red cabbage. This is about 1 kilo in weight. I've taken the tatty outside leaves off. Smoky bacon here. So first job, slice it up, and I'm using a kind of casserole style pan on a medium heat. So bacon in. We're gonna fry this off with about a tablespoon of olive oil. So we're gonna render out the beautiful natural fat from the bacon. Beautiful. What I'm gonna do is split this red cabbage very carefully in half, roughly and finely slice the red cabbage. The stalk, I'm just gonna literally slice up in any old way. I think this is one of the cheapest vegetables that you can buy. I think personally that a lot of people think that red cabbage is like a frumpy, boring veg. Absolutely no way. Delicious. Now, I can hear that the bacon is changing sound. It's starting to get golden if you look in there. And when it's getting lightly golden, I'm gonna add 2 or 3 big sprigs of rosemary go in, and I want the rosemary to absorb all of that lovely fat from the bacon. And the rosemary is then going to go really, really crispy. So look at this, guys. The rosemary goes deep green and starts to go equally crispy, just like the bacon. I'm going to remove the rosemary and the bacon with a slotted spoon, and I'm going to leave behind the fat, right? In here, look at that. That's all smoky bacon fat. I'm going to take a little knob of butter, put that in there. We're going to go in with 2 teaspoons level of fennel seeds. Have a look at these. These are my favorite spice. I use it so often, and it's really, really good. So I'm just going to tear in some prunes, a little handful. These have the most incredible dynamic flavor. They will completely disintegrate into nothing. And then I'm going to go in with the red cabbage. 1 or 2 nice apples, roughly chop it. This will give amazing sweetness to this dish without having to use like loads of brown sugar and stuff like that. Look at the color, guys. The amazing purple against the white of the apples. I'll add a nice little pinch of salt and pepper. And then there's one last ingredient. So I'm going to add about 8 to 10 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar. And we're going to cook it all away. So guys, it might seem like a lot of balsamic vinegar, but please just trust me, when that cooks away, it's going to bring all the flavors together. So you've got the sweet and the sour of the vinegar and the apples and the prunes, you know, with all those spices and the smoky bacon. It's going to be delicious. So lid on, medium heat, 25 minutes. I'll stir that every 5 minutes. So, see you in 25. So this has had 25 minutes. It's a phenomenal color. You might want to add just a little bit more fresh butter just to kind of help join all the flavors. And then if you wanted to, you can just use a classic Christmas flavor like clementine. And that's the last thing, the last bit of sweetness that kind of stops the frying. Look at that. It's just a beautiful thing. Of course, cabbage is incredibly good for you, but we've made this so desirable, so delicious. And then don't forget the rosemary and the crispy bacon bits. Absolutely gorgeous. That'll feed, as a side dish, 10 people. Easy peasy. Really nice. Tender, but the crunch from the bacon's still there, and the rosemary. An absolutely beautiful red cabbage dish. If you want more red cabbage inspiration, hit the iBox up there. Aaron Craze has done a beautiful cabbage slaw with a bit of a twist. And don't forget, if you have leftovers of this, you can kind of redress it like a salad and have it with beautiful leftover things like, you know, your hams, your meats, your cheeses, and that kind of like Boxing Day fare. So there you go, red cabbage, but not as you know it. Until next time, lots of love. Hello, lovely people. Okay, we're gonna make the best gravy in the world. Oh yes, it's gonna be a beautiful thing. Okay, so whether you're cooking beef, roast pork, roast turkey at Christmas, goose, chicken, ducks, game birds, it doesn't matter what you're cooking. I'm gonna give you principles that will serve you and your family really, really well and give you the most extraordinary gravy every single time. Before I started roasting off this beautiful turkey right here, I just had an empty tray, just cut up some onions. Leave the skin on, that's fine. Don't bother peeling the carrots, just wash them, hack them up, chunky. The giblets often come with any poultry. Get it in there. It's the key to incredible flavour. I've got some rosemary. That's job done. Now the purpose of that is to lift the bird or the meat off the bottom of the roasting tray and to absorb all the flavours that cook, the sticky goodness that cooks out of it. We need a little jam jar. We need to separate off the fat. So fat always floats to the surface. Look, if I get a little bit of juice in here, you can see the difference, yeah? And this fat will keep in your fridge for months and months and months. You can put herbs in there if you want. It's a blessing in disguise, don't waste that. So once you've got the fat out, just put it on a high heat and bring it to the boil, okay? You wanna just reduce down the juices. When you're roasting lovely cuts of meat, it's good to have a high-sided, snug-fitting tray, okay? If it's just really thin and massive, everything's gonna kind of scald. You can see, because it's a bit snugger and a bit higher, see all the juice we've got? We've got amazing juice and flavour. Now, your tray might look a little drier than this, and that's fine as well, because you'll probably have sticky bits of goodness on the bottom. I've tried to break it down to 3 principal levels to get you from here to incredible gravy. Do we thicken it? Do we want to thicken it? We've got corn flour, which you can use, or just normal plain flour. Your choice, it's all good. But then there's a couple of kickers, guys. We've got jam here. Jam, a little thimble, a couple of teaspoons of jam helps to add incredible sort of silk and sweetness and tang. And the thing to rift off of that sweetness is acid. So see here, acid comes in lots of different forms. Vinegar, Worcestershire sauce, balsamic vinegar, beer. So first up, acid. What are we thinking? Roast turkey, I'm thinking Christmas, maybe roast pork is the best thing to do. You know, 100 mils, just like half a wine glass, not a lot. Use this liquid to scrape all the goodness off the side. We're using alcohol. You cook that away. It's Christmas, it's turkey, couple of teaspoons of quince goes in. So this is exciting, guys. This is really exciting. Certainly in Britain, we love to thicken a gravy. We want a bit more body there, okay? You know, for a turkey, for a tray this size, I'm gonna go in with 3 teaspoons plain flour. I don't want any lumps, just move it and let the flour soak up all that flavour. It smells incredible. That's nice and thick now. I'm adding stock here, guys. You could add water because there's so much flavour from the turkey and the giblets. I'm gonna really almost overfill this tray. And that's why it's really nice to have a nice high-sided roasting tray. Basically, the longer you leave it to reduce and go thick and dark, it will go 10 times more tasty. So I'm gonna let this simmer now for about half an hour, then we'll come and have a look. You can see it's really watery and kind of fairly ugly now. In half an hour, that's gonna be a different story. Beautiful. That is about 20-25 minutes, and you can see it looks dark, rich, it's thickened up beautifully, so now we need to pass it. When you've got the gravy to the texture that you want, just simply pour it in, and that colander's gonna catch all the larger parts. And if you've got lots of sediment around the side, you can put some water in and scratch it away and pour it back on the top there. Give it a little agitation. You can put a bit of pressure in there. If you keep putting more and more pressure on, you're gonna get like a kind of paste of the veggies and the meat come through. That might be a good thing for you or a bad thing, depends what you want. But I'm really happy with this. That's been resting for 2 hours. You're also gonna get resting juices. It's very normal to have a little bit of kind of foam coming to the top. So a little quick way to be able to take that off is just take your pan to the side of the heat source. And if you come and have a look now, what that'll do is it will boil up on one side and push the scum to one side. And just watch me here. I'll just go in and just touch the side, and you're left with the most fantastic, wonderful gravy. This now is ready for you to simmer. You can cool it down, heat it up. Remember, this is going to bring heat to the plate, whether it's veggies, you know, your carved meats and roast potatoes. So there you go, the perfect gravy. The only thing to do now is just have a little try. Beautiful, beautiful gravy that will make people very, very happy. We're going to do jerk ham. Say jerk ham.
Jerk ham.
No, say jerk ham.
Jerk ham.
We're going to do jerk ham. Flavour of Jamaica. We're going to big it up. Right, I've got these little hocks, and there's enough meat on there for 2.5 portions, right? Obviously they're hammed, so they've been salted. So I've had these in water overnight. So what we're gonna do is make our jerk spice. So Mummy, I would like to pass you things. You're gonna be in charge of the processor over there. This is the recipe for jerk. 3 cloves of garlic go straight into the processor, together with 3 shallots, 3 sprigs of thyme, and up to 3 Scotch bonnets. Woo! Whack in 3 bay leaves, 3 little cloves, and 3 level teaspoons of sea salt, and 3 heaped teaspoons of allspice. About 3 teaspoons of honey, 3 tablespoons of rum, and then the same of vinegar. Now we're going to whiz that up, so just press on, Mama, and pour in the 3 tablespoons of olive oil and blitz, blitz, blitz. So Mum, put these gloves on, right, and let's have a little massage. I'm going to pour the jerk over the hocks here, and Mum will perform this incredible massage that she does.
He makes it all up.
When the hock cooks up low and slow, the meat pulls away like hunks, all tender and delicious. So I'm going to whack these in the oven. These can go in. And like my darling Delia used to say, here's one I made earlier. Now, with clean hands, you go back in, and you can see how the meat pulled away from the bone. It's just tender, it's melting your mouth. We can give it a little drizzle of olive oil, Mum.
You know, just the juice of 1 or 2. Have a little drizzle up,
Want
Mum.
me to drizzle it over there?
Yes, please, Tiger. A little bit of clementine juice. Mum, chuck us a pan, sweetheart.
Reheating the pulled hop will soften the fats that have hardened in the fridge and moisten and caramelise the meat. Team up with the delicious salad. I love cold and sweet clementines, along with some crunchy radish and romaine lettuce.
Really, really delicious and delightful. A little bit of watercress. There we go. And at this stage in the game, we can just have a little drizzle up.
Some olive oil and balsamic vinegar.
A little pinch of salt, but not too much because you've got the seasoned, you know, crispy ham.
And then transform this delicious warm salad with a kiss of some fresh pomegranate capsules.
So there you go, you've got the beautiful jerk warm salad. That was brilliant, Mum. Thanks so much for coming. That was really good. Do you want to have a brandy? Lovely people, I'm going to